Krishna Hare Hare
Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Jaya Radha Shama Sundar Radha Shama Sundar Shri Radhe Jaya Kishore Kishori Jaya Kishore Kishori Kishore Kishori Jaya Shri Radhe Jai Prabhupada 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada Jai Jai Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtutarashata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Shri Kishore Kishori Ki Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani Sudarshan Ji Ki Jai Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai Vaishnav Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga All glories to Srila Prabhupada Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashta Prayeshva Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Paramananda Pataya Prema Vashaksharayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namostume Sadasevya Sadasevya Srimad Bhagavati Kata Yasya Shravana Matrena Harishchittam Samashrayet Krishne Swadam Upagate Dharma Jnana Divisaha Kalaunashtadrisham Esha Puranarko Dunodita Sarva Vedanta Saram Hi Srimad Shri Bhagavatamishate Tatra Samrita Chittasya Nanyatra Shatrati Kochit. This must be Kishore's. Pretty long. Okay. Jai ho. Here we go. Text 19. Canto 10, chapter 25, text 19. We're continuing the Govardhan Leela. Ityuktvaikena hastena Kritva govardhanachalam Dadharalilaya Vishnush Chatrakam iva balaka Ityuktvaitena hastena Kritva govardhanachalam Dadharalilaya Vishnush Chatrakam iva balakaha Ityuktvaikena hastena Kritva govardhanachalam Dadharalilaya Vishnush Chatrakam iva balakaha. Iti, thus. Uktva, having spoken. Ekena, with one. Hastena, hand. Kritva, taking. Govardhana achalam, Govardhana hill. Dadhara, he held it. Leelaya, very easily. Vishnu, Lord Vishnu. Chatrakam, a mushroom. Iva, just as. Balakaha, a child. The translation. Having said this, Lord Krishna, who is Vishnu himself, picked up Govardhan hill with one hand and held it aloft just as easily as a child holds up a mushroom. And the purport by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. It is confirmed in the Harivamsha that Sri Krishna picked up the Govardhan mountain with his left hand. Sadhrita sangato megar giri savyena panina. With his left hand he picked up that mountain which was touching the clouds. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, when Lord Krishna was preparing to lift Govardhan hill, a partial expansion of his Yogamaya potency, named Samhariki, temporarily removed all the rain from the sky, so that as he ran very swiftly from the porch of his house to the mountain, neither his turban nor other garments became wet. Om Gyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Vitapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitangscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandha Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Something. I'll just reread the verse. Having said this, Lord Krishna, who is Vishnu himself, picked up Govardhan hill with one hand and held it aloft, just as easily as a child holds up a mushroom. So, this is the real action chapter. This is where everything happens, and we're moving closer and closer to the climax of the whole thing. I guess we're not moving closer to the climax. This is the climax because the Samvartika clouds are there. The rain is pouring down. All of the Vrajvasis are terrified, thinking, what is happening? Oh no, what have we done? We made this big mistake. We didn't worship Indra. And now we're going to be destroyed. And so Krishna, he's run to the rescue. He actually says in the previous verse, what is it? Soyam me vrata ahita. I've taken a vow to protect my devotees, so I have to do this. He said, they've taken complete shelter of me, mat sharanam. They've taken shelter of me, these cowherd people. They don't know anybody else other than me. And so I have to protect them. After all, Krishna's thinking, I put them in this situation. I started this. I told them they should do this sacrifice instead of worshiping Indra. And so I have to take care of them. So now, the many purposes of the Govardhan Leela are going to come to fruition. Everything that Krishna does, it serves many, many, many purposes. I guess we can say unlimited purposes, but at least it serves many, many functions, because intelligent people, they know how to do multiple things with one sweep. When they do something, they do things in such a way that multiple purposes can be served, because when you're intelligent and you're important, then rich people say time is worth more than time is money. Because when you're at a certain level and at a certain place in your life that you've risen to enough prominence, you realize that I can't be everywhere at once, and so you have to start doing things efficiently. And so their mind is set on how they can most efficiently do things and get things done and make things happen. So they don't do anything unnecessarily, running out of the way. It's a Shudra mentality that you just focus on the one thing that you're supposed to do, and then that's taken care of, and you don't really have to think so deeply. You just have to focus on the one task that you're given, because you're not expected to reach deeper with your intelligence. But more intelligent people, they understand how to facilitate and how to actuate efficiency. They know how to make things happen. So Krishna obviously isn't fettered by time, and he's not fettered by the fact that he can only be in one place at one time. But still, being the most intelligent person, he naturally does things in such a way that multiple things are completed while doing one thing, or an unlimited amount of things. He has so many purposes behind one action, which is nice for us because it gives us such a viewpoint when we try to examine these things, and we can really see the wonderful intelligence and the playful nature of this person, that he is able to do so much and to accomplish so many goals. Here in the Govardhan Leela, what's about to transpire and the things that are going to take place and that are unfolding right now. First, Krishna wants to relish the love of all of his devotees in Vraj. And so first and foremost, he has thought of an ingenious way to reciprocate with all of them at one time. Second, or we could also say this is first, because of the social stigma around his relationship with the gopis, they're not able to see each other in public. And so being in public in the same place with those devotees of his creates a particular type of feeling, with all the anxiety and all of the rush of the fact that their relationship is a secret. And the Govardhan Leela facilitates that secrecy being as open as it possibly can. Because since all of the rasas are there, all of the devotees of Vraj are there in the same place, and they all have a perfect excuse to stare at Krishna, because he's, as this verse has said, he's lifted this mushroom up. He's lifted this hill up like a mushroom. Everybody's in awe. And so nobody can blame the gopis for being like, wow, what is he doing? It's amazing. It's wonderful what he's doing. So another purpose that he's fulfilled. Now, Krishna gets to reciprocate with the gopis in a way that he can't at any other time do. In front of everybody, in front of all of the other devotees, all of the other Vrajvasis, and it's completely hidden. Third, he wants to glorify Govardhan Hill, because he wants to establish that the worship of the devotee is higher than the worship of him. He says in the Adi Purana, he tells to Arjuna that actually those who worship me are not my devotees. Those who worship my devotees are my devotees. He makes this very, very conclusive statement to Arjuna. He says, don't worry, if you see somebody who says, I love Krishna, oh, I'm so devoted to Krishna, then don't take him so seriously. Look at him, examine his character. Does he respect the devotees? Does he take his time to love the people that I love? So Krishna shows us this by raising Govardhan Hill, by saying we should worship Govardhan Hill, because Govardhan Hill, according to the words of our acharyas, according to the words of, what to say? In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna says that Radharani is my guru. She has taught me how to dance. So according to the guru of Krishna, from the perspective of rasa, Giriraj is the best of the devotees. This Raghunath Das Goswami tells us in his prayers to Govardhan that actually this verse, Hantaya Madhyabala Haridasa Varya Yat Rama Krishna Charanas Padasha Pramoda Manam Tanoti Sago Ganayastayat Pani Yasuya Vasakandara Kandamulai. Hantaya Madhyabala Haridasa Varya. This mountain is the best, Haridasa Varya, the best of the devotees. So he's establishing that Govardhan should be worshipped. And for all the sadhakas, that you should worship my devotees. If you're serious about wanting to attain me, if you're serious about wanting to enter into this level of reality, you must take Bhakta Seva very, very seriously. He's establishing this. The next thing, he's crushing the pride of Indra. He's showing that this mood of being the controller and being the enjoyer and, being wrapped up in any little opulence that you've been given is antithetical to the mood that is required to attain Vraj. And actually, it will cause you to become inimical to actual bhakti if you take that into your heart. And so through crushing the pride of Indra, he's teaching us. And then another aside of that, we could say a sixth thing, he's also showing Indra, because Indra is a person. He's not only a figurehead who we're being taught through. He's showing Indra that you must increase your understanding. He's giving him an opportunity to see the beauty of Vraj, because he does this with Lord Brahma. He does this with any devotee who somehow gets the mercy and gets to come a little close to Vraj. He's increasing his understanding so that he can appreciate that place. Now, I don't know of any follow-up where this particular Indra actually becomes a Vrajvasi or becomes a devotee, but at any rate, he comes to Vraj, he sees the place, he experiences it, he gives Krishna the title of Govinda. He actually shows all the demigods. There's one pastime that happens after this Leela in the naming of Krishna, because after, when Indra goes and apologizes to Krishna and says, I really messed up. I can't believe I did that. I became so bewildered by my pride, by this Srimada. Then he offers this arti and he names Krishna Govinda, because before this, Krishna was Gopal. But he becomes Govinda through this pastime. And then, after all of the Vidyadharas and the Apsaras and the Yakshas and the Pishachas and all of these, the Kinnaras and the Gandharvas are done glorifying Krishna, because, who can do a more grand glorification than the demigods? After this is finished, they leave, and they leave all their paraphernalia on the ground, because for them, they have practically unlimited opulence from our perspective. Even in Dwapara Yuga, in deity worship, all the flowers are made out of gold, and you could only use them once. So the level of opulence, even on this planet, we can imagine the opulence the demigods have. They bring a bunch of gems and rubies and crowns and gold goblets and gold chamaras and gold arti lamps and everything, and they just left it. And the Gandharvas and Vidyadharas, they sing better than anyone in the universe. But after they left, all of the cowherd boys, they came because they had been watching. They saw from the bushes this funny circumstance, all these funny-looking people and these very beautiful women. And all of these, the Kinnaras who are half man, half human, and they saw Indra, the king of the Devatas, with his 1,000 eyes. They saw all of this, and they're little boys, so they were blown away, and they were also laughing about it. And afterwards, they came and they said, Krishna, what was that? What is this crazy thing that just happened? And then they picked up and they started imitating it. They started making fun of all the demigods. And they started doing the artis the same way they were doing in Mach, and they picked up the instruments. And the cowherd boys, they're all simple. They're not expert musicians. Some of them, I've heard some of them, they were singing off tune when they were doing this, because they weren't even trying to sing nicely. They were just joking with Krishna. And this one was, oh, Vishnu, and he's banging on whatever the drum, the Pandavas and the Anakas. He was banging on one of the drums. And Krishna was just laughing. And he was so pleased with this. And he loved it so much. And all the demigods, they were still in the sky. They had just left. And they looked down, Because Krishna, the whole time they offered their worship, Krishna was just sober. He was just grave, just standing there accepting the worship, but not really moved. And they thought that's just how he is. But then they saw these boys with the same instruments and much less material skill doing what they were doing, and Krishna laughing and so happy. And so the demigods, they got some perspective on what is this Vraj Bhakti? What is it? And therefore we see that some of the demigods, they take birth as Vrajvasis later on. We hear there are the Munichari gopis, there are more. Some of the demigod princesses become gopis. Munichari gopis, there's one more group that I'm somehow forgetting. Do you know, Subal? In the Rasa dance, later on, we're coming to it. There are different types of gopis that are listed. The Munichari gopis are the Rishichari gopis. They're the ones who saw Lord Ram in the Dandakaranya forest, and they wanted to be with Lord Ram in a conjugal way. And Lord Ram said, "Not possible, sorry. But next time I come, you'll get your opportunity." And then, that's it. I remember hearing. So there were some fish when Matsya came, and they thought, some lady fish, and they thought, he is the most beautiful fish I've ever seen in my life. He's the most amazing fish. I wish I could have him as my fish husband. And Matsya said, I've got some stuff to do. I'm here on a mission. I'm not really here to hang out. Obviously, he didn't say those words. But long story short, they took birth as gopis because of that conjugal desire. And so they were also there in the Rasa dance. And some demigoddesses, they also took birth as gopis to be there in the Rasa dance to get that opportunity. So we see Krishna, he's giving this opportunity. So we've seen there are so many different reasons for why Krishna has done this. The other thing was, in order to smash Indra's pride, it was very important. Because again, Krishna is so intelligent, he knows how to do everything absolutely perfectly. And actually, it's not even his intelligence per se. His Shaktis are so efficient because they know how to serve him very well, that they can orchestrate everything very nicely. Just like this, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said this, Samhariki potency stopped all the rain just briefly, at least around Krishna, so that when he ran from his doorstep over to Govardhan Hill, then his turban wasn't wet. Because the thing about Krishna, he's very particular about how he looks. He has to be paka all the time. He's the best dresser in all of existence. Nobody can dress like Krishna. And Krishna he's not gonna stand under Govardhan Hill with a soggy, messed up turban and, some mud on the pleats of his dhoti. It's gonna be paka all the time. The peacock feather is gonna be tilted slightly and off center. Everything will be a little off center. So his potencies know this. And so he's going out, cut the rain for a second, cue the stop so he can run under the hill. What's the other thing? Nandagaon is 20 kilometers from Govardhan Hill. The way they say this, it makes it sound like he just hopped off his steps and the hill was right there, like from here to the altar. No, it's 20 kilometers away. It's not a short little stroll. It's take some steps. It would take you probably a couple hours to walk from Nandagaon to Govardhan. It would be half of a Govardhan Parikram, maybe more than half. So we can see Krishna's potencies, they orchestrate things very nicely. Vrindavan Dham can expand and contract. If Krishna wants to go somewhere, then Vrindavan Dham can make that distance like nothing. This actually, we hear about Govardhan Hill. The cowherd boys, or Krishna and the gopis, all of the cows, all the devotees, when they go to Govardhan Hill isn't that big. Even for their perception. He's not this, at least at that time, he's not this gigantic, like Himalaya mountain-looking hill. But the thing is, Govardhan expands himself in little compartments. So they walk around Govardhan Hill, and then all of a sudden, they find a waterfall they've never seen before. They find a grove of trees they've never been under before. They find some very sweet grasses of a kind that the cows have never experienced or tasted before. Because Govardhan, he expands. Vrindavan Dham can just expand. It's said in one of the Acharya's books that the gardens in Nanda Maharaj's palace, they're simultaneously, you can see them. Okay, it's a garden next to a palace. But if you go into that garden can expand and become limitless. And Krishna can become lost in that garden. And pastimes can go on in that garden. This is the nature of the spiritual world. So Krishna, he stepped off of his doorstep and, just a couple steps to Govardhan Hill, because Vrindavan Dham can do this. Everything in the spiritual world is meant to further the Leela. And so things work like that. Things go just according to what will increase the love and the desire of Krishna and his devotees, and what will facilitate the simultaneous, I won't say quenching because it's never quenched, but the simultaneous satisfaction and increase in hankering for more and more and more. It's like the ultimate addiction, because there's nothing else to do. There's nothing else for Krishna to do. There's nothing else for his devotees to do. They're just hopelessly addicted to loving each other, and more and more and more, and getting more and more and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. So this is the Govardhan Leela. This is what Govardhan Leela is about. And it's about revealing that to other people through this wonderful book, through the Bhagavatam. This is the whole point. And these things have to be thought about. Krishna reveals, and our acharyas, they reveal all of these different aspects so that we can get lost in thinking about these things. Because if we get lost in thinking about these things, we're very, very close. I mean, we have to understand in this process, I have to understand, in this process, the literal only thing that separates one from being completely Krishna conscious is one's own paradigm. Because one is attached to thinking about things other than Krishna, bhayam dvitya bhiniveshata shat, then fear develops, and ahankar is there, and so many attachments are there. But if we can just take the good advice of the Bhagavatam, and the good advice of the acharyas, and the good advice of Krishna himself, and just contemplate all of the different wonderful reasons and results and things that come out of one pastime, one step of Krishna, then practically we're already there. Once it's actually said by our acharyas that as soon as nishta is attained, the battle is pretty much over, because you've climbed the hill. Once you become fixed, taste comes quickly. Then once you get a little taste, then you become addicted, asakti. You become completely, you can't, what's that verse? I said it in the beginning of the class. I say this whenever I speak the Bhagavatam, because one day I would like to make it here. Nanyatra shadhriti kochit. Anyone who tastes the Bhagavatam, na anyatra, nowhere else will he be able to find taste anymore. So once one reaches nishta, then it's over. It's all downhill. It's going to be amazing from there. Now that amazing is going to unfold in many unexpected different ways, and that's another story, but that's another thing that we can investigate. And that's beautiful and fascinating. Something Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to show us. What does ecstasy look like? What is it supposed to be? What do the Vrajvasis experience? What do the Gopis experience? What does Mother Yashoda experience? What do the cowherd boys experience? So if we can just think about these things, and now we all have a really good opportunity to, because nobody can go do anything. Everybody has to stay home from work. You can't even come to the temple. What to speak, anyone who's listening to this. So we have a great opportunity to hunker down and to just think about Krishna. Read and think and hear. There are so many reasons. Why is Krishna doing this? Okay, I understand he lifted a hill, and it's a shame if we go through our entire life just thinking, I heard that story. Because there are so many angles. I heard that story. If you think you heard the story, then that pretty much means you missed the whole point. Because the point is that story, any one of the stories that are in this book, is completely endless and infinite and wonderful. And if you approach it with the right mood, then that story will just keep on showing you angles and layers and wonderful things. I'm sure you've had some experience with this, Subal, with something, some Leela that you've found come to like, or maybe some passage, maybe in the Bhagavad Gita or something. Realize after 30 years of practice, whoa, this is still fresh. Am I right? You find there's something here that I have not seen until right now, right? And it's amazing. This is the nature of, and if you see, when we start to experience that, it can build our faith, because then we can see that, whoa, every word is actually like this. The Bhagavatam tells us every syllable is like that. Sanatana Goswami says this, Paramananda Pataya, Prema Varshaksharayate. Every akshara, every syllable, not even every word, every syllable is a container of the deepest prema. This is the Bhagavatam. And so the more we develop our faith in that direction, the more we can realize it. Because, again, it's only about our consciousness. It's only about the fact that we don't fully believe it. We don't believe it's possible. And because we don't believe that the basics are possible, then we're not able to even consider some of the more fantastic things. But if we can develop our faith in that way, then we can actually begin to experience it. The Bhagavatam tells us this in the very beginning. It says, Damna svena nirastakuhakam, Damna svena sada nirastakuhakam satyam param dhimahi. That absolute truth can only be experienced by direct perception, by bhakti. And this direct perception that comes through practice, comes through faith, because bhakti begins with faith. It begins from a devotee, but practically speaking, for anyone who's been initiated into it, and I don't just mean diksha, but anyone who has begun the process of bhakti, it begins with faith, and then that kicks out all logical argument. That's the only way, because you can argue all you want. You can stay on the outside, you can stay on the ring, you can stay on the fence. If you like, if you want to be a critic, if you want to continue your sojourn in Kali Yuga and enjoy the fact that you can pick everything apart, even though practically everyone here is an idiot and we're just running off of what we hear from Google and what we hear from this. No one has any firsthand knowledge of practically any subject because we've been so removed from everything. Nobody knows how to do anything practical anymore. We don't cook. We don't provide energy for ourselves. We don't grow food. We don't do anything. We just dial it up on our cell phone and then it works, and then that makes it happen. Or we go, at best, doing something now means driving your car to go get something from somebody else who did it for you. We don't fix things. We don't do anything. So everything is secondhand. Everything is secondhand or third hand. And all of our information is taken through biased media sources or through Google. So, we don't have direct experience of anything. So why take faith in that? If we have to take faith in something secondhand, then we should take faith in something transcendental. If we have to take shelter of something that we're going to hear, let us take shelter of hearing something that has stood the test of time. Because none of this other stuff has stood the test of time. Google, Fox News, whatever you're listening to has not stood the test of time. I mean, this country is 200 years old, and it's already, it's going one direction, it's going another direction. It's not looking very good on a global scale, and no, nothing in this material world will ever stand the test of time. So if we keep our faith there, then we're going to lose every time. Because you're taking your faith, being an eternal soul, and putting it in something that is unreal in the sense that it's not going to last. And so ultimately what that means is you're going to be let down. It's not going to be a nice ride. No matter how logical it seems, that thing is going to fade. Things are going to change. But you will not change. And your relationship with the Bhagavatam will not change. Your relationship with Krishna will not change. What is that? Neha vikrama nashasti prativayana vidyate. Every little step we take, that cannot be extinguished by any means whatsoever. That's beautiful, but it's also difficult because that means you're stuck. It means you've made this progress and you can't undo it no matter how much you want to. You can't just go back to being an ignorant person and just, life is a little hard, I can't think about that. It won't work. You'll be depressed, you'll be sad. Life will just not be worth it. It won't be worth it. So let us take this opportunity that we've been given and let us absorb ourselves in the Bhagavatam. Because that's something everyone has a right to do. I may not be able to sit down and chant the holy name and, think about anything other than my life and the difficulties of my life and how hard that is. Chanting is quite hard, in my honest opinion and in my experience. It's quite hard. Many times my chanting is very much just me fulfilling the vow that I've made to my Guru Maharaj. But the Bhagavatam is much different and much, in my humble opinion, let me be struck down if I'm wrong about this, much more merciful. Much, much more merciful. And it's set up that way, that the Bhagavatam and Bhagavat Shravan gives you the opportunity to gain the understanding with which you can chant. Therefore, it must come first. Therefore, Jiva Goswami tells us that without Shravanam, there is no question of Kirtanam. The holy name will give some initial mercy and help you start your spiritual life, but then you have to do the nice, actually fun, gratifying work of reading the Bhagavatam. And once you read the Bhagavatam and you understand who this little boy is who's lifting this mushroom hill, who's chastising the King of Heaven, who is only interested in loving his friends and family, once you understand a little bit about him, then you can chant his name. It's simple as that. You understand someone and then you think about them, just like in this world. Subal, I can think about you because you're my friend, because we've helped each other out, we've had nice conversations. I know you a bit, you know me a bit, so I can think about you. But if somebody just tells me a devotee's name who lives in Guatemala or in Switzerland and I've never met them, and they tell me, think about this person, I can't really think about him. Okay, well, you can tell me a couple things about him, or, you told me his name, but I don't have a picture. I don't have anything to go off of. Therefore, the Bhagavatam gives us all of Krishna's qualities and his wonderful nature. And so the more we hear these things and contemplate these things, then when we chant, these things may come up. They may come up. And then our chanting can actually be something. But even without chanting, if we read the Bhagavatam, then the Bhagavatam itself is sadhana. Actually, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he explains this in his commentary to the second verse of the Bhagavatam, and he uses a verse to substantiate what he's saying. He says, Madhura Madhura Metan Mangalam Mangalanam Sakala Nigamavali Satphalam Chitswarupam Sakrdapi Parigitam Shraddhaya Helayava Bhriguvaranaramatram Tarayet Krishna Nama. Tarayet Krishna Nama, the holy name of Krishna, Krishna Nama, Tarayet, it will deliver Sakridapi Parigitam Shraddhaya Helayava. Anyone who takes it even once, Sakrid Eva, even one time, whether they do it Shraddhaya, with faith, or Helaya, with complete disregard. The Bhagavatam also tells us this in the 6th canto. Madhura Madhura Metan Mangalam Mangalanam. So it's the sweetest of all sweet things. Madhura Madhuram. Of sweetness, it is the very sweetness. It's the sweet of sugar. Mangalam Mangalanam. And of auspicious things, it is the auspicity. It is what makes things auspicious. Sakala Nigamavali Satphalam Chitswarupam. Just like the 3rd verse of the Bhagavatam tells us this, Nigamakalpaturar Galitam Phalam. It's the ripened fruit of all Vedic knowledge. Sakala Nigamavali Satphalam Chitswarupam. Same thing, different poetry. It's the very end of all Vedic knowledge. So generally, we take this because the verse very clearly tells us Krishna Nama. The last words are Krishna Nama. Krishna's name is all of these things. It's the sweetest, it's the most auspicious, it's the ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge, it's the most wonderful thing. If anyone chants it even once, whether they do it with faith or whether they do it with disregard, then it will deliver them. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he explains that this doesn't just mean the holy name. Krishna Nama, in a general way, means any words that designate Krishna. And he says the most powerful words that designate Krishna are Srimad Bhagavatam. And he says, to substantiate the last line of the 2nd verse of the Bhagavatam, which is Sadhyo Hridyavarudyate Chakritibi Shu Shu Shubis Tatshanat. Sadhyo Hridyavarudyate. Ishvara Sadhyo Hridyavarudyate. Ishvara, Krishna. Sadhya Hrit Avarudyate. He is captured in the heart of the devotee. Who is what? Sadhyo Hridyavarudyate Chakritibi. Who is expert. The Premi Bhakta captures him immediately as soon as he hears the Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna comes, he can't help it. If you hear Srimad Bhagavatam and you are a pure devotee, then Krishna comes into your heart. He says, what is this nectar? And then, boom, the door is locked on him and he's stuck in the heart. Avarudyate, a very strong word is used, captured. Not that he comes beyond his own will and it's not. He is so compelled to come to that. He's stuck. But it's not just the Kritibi, it's not just the experienced Premi Bhakta who this happens for. Shu Shu Shubis Tatshanat. Even someone who only desires to hear Bhagavatam, who is not pure, who doesn't have deep bhakti, Shu Shu Shubi. He just thought, maybe I should hear this thing. Maybe I should dive into this book a little bit. Tatshanat. In an instant, in a moment, Krishna is captured in his heart. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says we may not be able to perceive this, but because of this line of the Bhagavatam, which is telling us directly, and this other verse from one of the other Puranas, where this Tadayat Krishna Nama, these words about Krishna, they deliver one immediately, Sakradeva, just on taking them once. We can understand that this really takes place. We may not be able to perceive it on the lower levels of bhakti, but Krishna is coming whenever we hear this book. And therefore he says, Hridyanta Hribadrani, I go personally into the heart of my devotees and I remove all of the things in their heart through the process of hearing. He says this, and we also hear from the Bhagavatam, Vasudeva Kata Ruchi, that the first type of taste anyone gets is not from chanting the holy name. It's not from the taste of a wild kirtan. It's not even from prasadam. The first type of real taste that comes in spiritual life is Vasudeva Kata Ruchi. Taste for hearing about the pastimes of Vasudeva. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Taste for hearing about Krishna through Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the first place. You serve devotees a little bit because one of them gave you mercy, because none of us would be here if it wasn't for the mercy of a devotee. It is impossible. There is no possible way to enter the realm of Krishna Bhakti. You can enter the realm of mukti, you can enter the realm of sense enjoyment, you can enter into spiritual life to some degree or other, but muktim dadati karishit smana bhakti yogam. Krishna does not give bhakti on his own volition. Only his devotees give bhakti. So a devotee started our spiritual life, and then the immediate first step, the first place anyone gets taste, is Vasudeva Kata Ruchi. This is the most important thing. So let us absorb ourselves in these pastimes. The Govardhan Leela, Kaliyadamana Leela, the Rasa Leela. So many things are there. Krishna going out with the cowherd boys, Balaram killing Pralambasura, Dhenukasura, so many things. Krishna with the queens in Dwarka, Krishna, he's toying with Rukmini. There's so many things. Putana Leela. And then we can see, look at Putana Leela, you can see, oh, okay, it's a nice story in itself, but we get a viewpoint of the entire way it came about. Who was Putana? She was the daughter of Bali Maharaj. How did she take the place that she wanted to take? Because she simultaneously wanted to nurse Vamanadev because she thought he was so beautiful, and then when she saw from her limited perspective how cruel he was to her father, her Rakshasi nature came out, her fangs came out, and she thought, I'll drink his blood. I want to kill this Vamanadev. So she had these two desires. One desire was this very deep, pure desire on seeing the beautiful Vamanadev that I wish I could nurse him. I wish he was my son. And then after, immediately, this very virulent, poisonous desire to kill him. And so Krishna, being the most expert, Bhavagrahi Janardana, and ultimately only taking the nicest part, he gave her the opportunity to be Putana. Where she got the opportunity to attempt to kill Krishna, to almost kill Krishna, to think she was about to do it, to feel like, yes, I've killed him. And then he killed her, and then she became a nurse in the spiritual world. Bhavagrahi Janardana. So there's so much, there's so many angles, there's so much to hear, so much to take, so many wonderful things. Just now I'm reading the 6th canto, and the beginning of the 6th canto, my God, the story of Ajamil, the things our acharyas are saying about the holy name, are saying about how this process works, about how it purifies one, even without one knowing it's happening, about the way it works on desire and sinful action and all of these things. It's the most inspiring thing I think I've ever heard in my life. You can't find a motivational speaker that will speak like the Bhagavatam if we just listen. It's really, really, really amazing. And Srila Prabhupada brought us the Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada came with the Bhagavatam and nothing else. He came with money he couldn't even exchange. I've heard one wonderful contemporary devotee poet say it like this, that actually people say Srila Prabhupada brought Srimad Bhagavatam. But Srila Prabhupada had such faith that Srimad Bhagavatam brought Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada knew, okay, the Bhagavatam wants to go to America and he needs a servant, so I'm just going to follow behind him and we'll see what he does. And we can see this was actually the faith Prabhupada had. There's one beautiful story. Prabhupada had just finished serving a feast because in the early days, The only thing Prabhupada really was doing was giving everybody lots of prasadam in New York in 1965, 1966. He was just making feasts. He would go out and distribute Srimad Bhagavatam, and he would, with whatever money he could get, he would make elaborate feasts so that these hippies would keep coming around. And one day, Prabhupada was standing there at the end, and there was one boy who was lingering around a bit, and he saw that Srila Prabhupada still had a lot of dishes to do. And he realized, oh my God, he's doing this every day. And he said, Swamiji, do you need any help? And Srila Prabhupada said, wow, I've been waiting for somebody to ask. And he wasn't just saying, I've been waiting for somebody to ask because I don't want to do the dishes. Do you know what he said? He said, I've been waiting for somebody to ask because I need to go out and distribute some of my Srimad Bhagavatams. I need to sell a few Srimad Bhagavatams so that I can make money for the next feast. Such was his faith in Srimad Bhagavatam that down to the penny, down to nothing, he thought, anyway, Srimad Bhagavatam will manifest it. Let me do what I can. I'll just speak Srimad Bhagavatam. I'll go distribute Srimad Bhagavatam, and Srimad Bhagavatam will provide some money so that I can make another feast so these people will come and hear Srimad Bhagavatam. This is Prabhupada's faith in the Bhagavatam. He sat in Tompkins Square Park and chanted the holy name later. Actually, when one of his disciples said, let's go do that, it would be a good idea. It was Brahmananda's idea. I don't like this because I was in New York for 3 years, so I know the story. We have this, all around the world, there's this mythical story that Prabhupada came and he went to New York and he went alone to Tompkins Square Park and sat down, and somehow all the hippies just converged on him, and they saw, the radiant spiritual energy Srila Prabhupada was emanating. Of course, his chanting was unbelievably pure and many people became attracted to that, but that's not how it happened. Srila Prabhupada started in 26 2nd Avenue giving classes on the Bhagavatam and really taking shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. And then Brahmananda, after some months, maybe 6 months, maybe even after a year, after they had a following, they had 20 of them coming every day, he said, Swamiji, we're reading in your books, you're telling us Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he would go out for Nagar Sankirtan. Can we do that also? And then Prabhupada said, yes, that would be a good idea. And then Brahmananda said, we should go to Tompkins Square Park. That's where everyone hangs out. And that's when Prabhupada sat down in Tompkins Square Park. This is the real story. But first, Prabhupada was a holy name man also. During his initiation, when Narayan Maharaj did the ceremony, and his spiritual master, Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, was Prabhupada's sannyas guru, and Prabhupada requested Akinchana Das Babaji Maharaj to chant the Mahamantra in between, as we do in yagyas nowadays. When there's a yagya, the yajamana, he will chant all the mantras, and then when there's a pause, when he has to do something, somebody will chant the holy name. And so Prabhupada asked his dear godbrother, Akinchana Krishna Das Babaji Maharaj, to do that. And Akinchana Krishna Das Babaji Maharaj was chanting, and then Narayan Maharaj went, okay, it's time to resume the mantras. And Prabhupada looked over at Akinchana Krishna Das Babaji Maharaj and said, keep it going, because Prabhupada had deep faith in the holy name. I'm not trying to understate that. But Prabhupada knew Srimad Bhagavatam is going to move the hearts of these people. Why? Because Srimad Bhagavatam tells us, Vasudeva Kataruchi. That's the first taste that comes in spiritual life. It's the first tangible experience that anybody has. And we all experience this. We all know we are most inspired in Krishna consciousness when we're hearing from somebody who's inspired in Krishna consciousness. When we hear from our Guru Maharaj, when we hear them speak about Krishna, that's what first goes into the heart. That's the first thing. The prasadam, it tastes wonderful, it has a huge effect, but that isn't necessarily a deep, deep spiritual experience. The deep, deep spiritual experience that no matter how new they are, sadhaka is and has, is reading Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing Krishna Katha. And then as your consciousness clears, you can start to experience prasadam. You can start to experience the holy name. Am I right, Subal? This is the way it works. Before that, I love kirtan. I did kirtan every day for 6 hours for 3 years, and I still do it practically every chance that I get. And the thing is with these other things, you get sucked into all of the details, and the culture keeps you in it, but it isn't necessarily a spiritual experience outright. But Krishna Katha is Krishna Katha. With music, oh, the drum is so beautiful. Oh, Prabhu's voice is so beautiful. Oh, her voice is so beautiful. Oh, when he sings, he just really knows how to keep the beat, and it just gets me so into it. And if I'm honest, I'm attracted to that. Sit down and do kirtan every day for 6 hours, and you'll realize this very quickly. It's just like any other job. You'll quickly realize, maybe I don't want to do this every day. I had that experience. After 8 months of every day, I thought, whoa, this is hard. I don't really want to do this. This isn't exactly what I had in mind for my life. Luckily, I was around sadhus, and I realized that's an indication that it's time to go deeper. But we can see Krishna Katha is unlimitedly powerful, and it's the most merciful. That's my conviction. It's the next to Vaishnava Sangha, and they're really interlinked because Krishna Katha comes through the mouth of a Vaishnava. Next to Sadhu Sangha, Krishna Katha is the most powerful, most effective first place anyone tastes any spiritual ecstasy. So let us go into this stupid coronavirus BS. It's happening. Let us have an opportunity. These karmis, so now I sound like a fanatic. Other people who aren't very spiritual, they're saying, oh no, I have to stay in my house for 2 weeks. What will I do? Oh God, I can't go, and my mind can't be satisfied by this and that and stimulation. We're devotees. We have an opportunity. Just sit down and read Srimad Bhagavatam. My boss has told me not to come into work. You have no excuse now. You have nothing to do. There's no reason to... your kids will be there, but they'll also be bored, stuck at the house. Give them a mridanga, let them go do some kirtan, let them play games, whatever. Have them hear some Bhagavatam as long as their attention can keep. But you yourself, while you're stuck, while you've, for once, in the busy modern world we live in, everything has been stripped away as far as your duties. You can't even go shopping, because I went to Whole Foods. It looks like Whole Foods is out of business. It's empty. There's nothing on the shelves. The bread's gone, the tortillas are gone, all the fake meat is gone, all the veggies are gone, everything is gone. So we have no other excuse. Just read Srimad Bhagavatam and see who you become after a week or 2 weeks. See what happens. It's not a challenge, that's my earnest encouragement, because that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to encourage each other. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says in the 11th canto in one commentary, I can't remember the verse, but he says, this is what Sadhu Sangha is. He says, I see that you are reading Srimad Bhagavatam. You've become a little more renounced. I will also. This is Sadhu Sangha. We see each other. Looks like he enjoys this. This looks ecstatic. Let me also do that. Let me try that. This is what we have to do for each other. This is a community of Vaishnavas. And it centers around Krishna Katha. That's my firm conviction. Subal, do you have anything? Can you add some drops, some reflections, some nectar? I'm just prattling on. I didn't prepare for this class, so it's whatever is in the heart is just flying out. I'm sorry, my heart is very nasty, so sometimes gross things come out of it.
Thank you, Ujjvala Prabhu. Few things. One that came to my mind was in terms of what you mentioned, the demigods, taking after coming to understand the beauty of Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, and taking advantage to take birth in Vrindavan and participate. Indra, so far I remember, Indra appear as Indradumya Maharaj. Is that right?
I don't know. Is that
in Krishna in Chaitanya Lila?
I don't know.
I believe so. Indradumya Maharaj. And of course, through Lord Chaitanya they have full access to actually, them experience the Braj Bhakti. And so that's one thing. I appreciate it very much, and it's just part of your mood in terms of appreciating the Bhagavatam and diving into the Bhagavatam. And just before we start in the class, the consideration and this situation of maybe stopping the Bhagavatam class and just playing a tape. And I was just thinking, wow, this is such an important feature of deity worship. It's not much different of actually, serving the deities.
It's the same, actually.
It's the same.
Yes, this is a deity.
Yes, it's a deity, and this is actual the worship. The Srimbatan Swakata Krishnam, Punyan Shravanam Kirtanam. That this Satatam, this puja, is it have to happen. It have to go. It's part of the lifeline of the temple. So it gave me, I got a little doubt that came. Well, maybe there's a point, but no. It's good. So in one sense, your presentation sort of sealed that for me.
Jai.
And one other thing in terms of mentioning is insightful what you said in terms of how one's Krishna consciousness really goes deep when one starts to hear with that shushusho, with that type of faith, the Srimad Bhagavatam, and then how Krishna consciousness actually takes roots. Many of us has the experience of, our entrance to Krishna consciousness was to prasadam and to kirtan, and that was my case. And the fact is that, yes, in my situation, one clever devotee tricked me to come to a Bhagavatam by dangling, breakfast prasadam in my face,
You want to come for another meal? Okay, but you have to come for Bhagavatam class first.
And that really did it. So it was a big change just to hear Bhagavatam. The experience, however, of, I think, just thinking on some of the things that I've gone through myself, or my personal experience, the capacity of having a very powerful Krishna conscious experience through some of the things, to service, and specifically to Harinam, to going out on the streets, it was a very substantial, experience that I think, in one sense, I could say that has basically affected my sort of taste to Krishna consciousness. And I think, in one sense, in retrospective, is somehow or other having the right disposition to serve and to associate with advanced devotees and your spiritual master specifically. That you get, some sort of a special sort of mercy in one sense.
Definitely.
And I think, the whole experience of Krishna consciousness is very much, individually, in one sense, Krishna knows, is very expert on how to reach us, and how to touch our heart, and transform it.
Yeah.
But that being said, it was very insightful what you said in terms of that once you start to hear the Bhagavatam, it becomes, it really solidifies
Everything else can take off.
the actual practice of Krishna consciousness and bhakti. Yeah.
Yeah, speaking to your point, because on the other hand, Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtan, Bhagavata Shravan, Mathura Vas, Srimurtira Shraddhaya Sevana. So, Sadhu Sangha, associating with devotees, chanting the holy name, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, living in Mathura, and doing deity worship with faith. These 5 things, Panchanga Bhakti, any one of them done alone, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, has all power to deliver someone completely. And it doesn't need help from any other process, any one of them alone. This is the power of these 5 things, Panchanga Bhakti. But the thing is, Sadhu Sangha is the birthplace of bhakti. Bhagavat Shravan, it nourishes bhakti, especially from a very new place, so that one can become situated to do any one of these 5 things. So, one will find the special meaning of this for me, and that I've heard from sadhus and that I've seen from my meager study of the scriptures, is that after a certain point, one is going to find taste in one particular place. And the other things will be there. But some men will be Harinam men, and they'll hear the Bhagavatam, but in the beginning they heard the Bhagavatam very nicely, they have a good conception, they know the philosophy, they know some of Krishna's pastimes. When they chant, they have a proper conception, they're thinking nicely, and then they'll be Harinam men. We have Ainjar Prabhu. He was a Harinam man. We see this. It comes like that. And so they are they're deriving most of their relationship with Krishna from that place. And some people, they'll be Bhagavatam men. And they'll also chant the holy name, they'll chant their 16 rounds, they'll be in kirtan, but they'll spend most of their time poring over the Bhagavatam, poring over the literatures of the Goswamis. And it's the same sadhana. It's the same thing, because they're becoming absorbed. Because smarana is actually the point. The point is smarana. Smaran kirtan. What is that? Rupa Goswami says in Nectar of Instruction. Anusmritya, anukirtana, sukirtana and anusmritya. So very nice kirtan and anusmritya. Following the kirtan is remembering Krishna. So similarly, deity worship. Somebody may become a pujari and their whole life is being a pujari. If you're a full-on pujari and Krishna gives you that opportunity, that means you don't have time to read practically. You're hearing some books while you're doing deity worship just so you get the Bhagavatam in. And you're chanting your rounds at odd hours of the day because what? You have to wake up and you have to be up by 3 and then you have to wake the deities up. And then, there are pujaris like that. This is actually the classic, to really, Srimurtira Shraddhaya Sevana, it means my life is to worship the deity. So you see one of these pujaris in India, and their whole life revolves around. They do all the offerings. They do all the puja. They cook even. So Srimurtira Shraddhaya Sevana. After a certain point, one thing is going to take precedence generally, or 2. But it's rare that you see somebody, because you can't possibly be full on with all of them all the time. We're all people, like you said. Something will take precedence. But in the beginning, in order for any of those things to take hold, it means one has to have a proper conception. And a proper conception comes from hearing. And then once you hear, it's there, it stays. We hear about Krishna, Govardhan Leela, these things, and it's there. And then you hear more, it's nicer, it's better. Sadhu Sangha is always there because Ramananda Roy says, my life is useless. The only painful thing is if I can't be around devotees. It's the only intolerable thing, according to Vishaka Devi herself, is to be separated from the devotees of Krishna. So Sadhu Sangha will always be there. But any one of these things has full power. The holy name has full power to deliver you without the help of the Bhagavatam. But there's a general way that it works. There's a process. Because we're sadhakas and we have to start somewhere. And my God, I've met many people who are fringy or new, and they think, oh yes, wow, that kirtan was so ecstatic, and they go into their weird thing about how they felt like they were just at one, or it's just like it's nice that they had an experience because that's helping them to come closer to this sadhana. But they're not doing the sadhana yet. They have to go through the steps. They need to read the Bhagavatam, read Bhagavad Gita, read these things. And then after all that crap clears out of their brain, and the Bhagavatam is in the brain, then you can sit down and chant. and chant like Haridas Thakur, and because you have a proper conception. So I think that's how it's harmonized. Because someone like you, you're a Harinam man. You know, you spent 15, 20 years every day out there, Harinam, doing it. I spent a meager 3 years. So I can also see it. You know, if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to like the Bhagavatam. And we shouldn't even say these things, but what to do? We have a mood, we have a particular perspective. I like the Bhagavatam. I've heard from some people that really like the Bhagavatam, and I want to be in their camp. You know, I want to hang out with those people because I see that this has worked for me. It's worked for me, and I pray that it keeps working for me. And then me saying that, please, doesn't work so well. It can work better. Please don't take it away. You know, so that's that. And you have anything else? Something? We can stop here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Shri Kishore Kishori ki jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani Sudarshan ji ki jai, Shri Shri Gauranitai ki jai, Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai, Shri A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Vaishnava Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.